Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is going to be the first video of this kind, so for this one I'm going to be talking about football as normal. I've literally, how long has it been, like 2 hours since the end of Norwich versus Leeds. So for this one I'm going to be previewing Norwich versus Ipswich next week. So it's a big match, it's a local derby, obviously. It's going to be an intense one because it's going to be the first time, probably the first time ever, I don't know, but it'll be the first time in a long time that we face each other with one team top, the other team bottom. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. I am going, although there is a chance that by that time we might be third, but we go into the weekend top. What a performance against Leeds. Everybody was brilliant. Like it feels unfair at this point to pick a player of the match. Like, you can't pick a player of the season. If you were to ask me to pick a player of the season, I couldn't do it. Everybody has been brilliant, and the players who don't get mentioned are just really unlucky. Like, players, it says everything when best players at the beginning of the season were Tim Closer, Moritz Leitner, Alex Tetty was one of our best players at one point this season, and yet, or he was looking like being one of our best players, and they're all out the team. Alex Tetty had to come off the bench today because Tom Tribal has come in and done so well. We've got so much depth. The only position I would say we need perhaps a bit more backup is right mid. Perhaps we need someone as backup for Buendia. Obviously now it's a bit late for that, so we can't really do that. But I'm sure, like, looking at the way that the club is being run at the minute, we could either bring someone up from the youth team or someone like Stevenman. I suppose we've got Cantwell could always play on the right as well, or put Hernandez on the right, depending on who's available. But going into the next match is against Ipswich. I don't think we need to make any changes. I don't think anybody's come away from the match tonight with an injury. So unless we pick up an injury in midweek, I say we go again, do the exact same team, try to play, perhaps change it up a little bit. You don't really want to be going from playing the same way again, away to top, as you do at home to bottom. Like, you don't really want to be putting in the same performance, but look to control the game a bit more, a bit more of our regular passing play, and we'll be fine. I think Timu Puki is the first player since 2014-15 for Norwich City to score 18 goals in a season, and we're only in February. I'm trying to think who it was who did that. Would it have been Cameron Jerome? Maybe Cameron Jerome. 2014-15. I would be tempted to say Nelson Oliveira. I thought he did it, but no, apparently not. He wasn't. I don't think he was playing for Norwich at that point. But we've come away from, and here's the important thing, we've come away from that big run of games where we played West Brom, we played Leeds now, we played Sheffield United, we played Derby as well, and we're sat top, joint top. We're top by 2 goals now, and I had a look at somebody posted on Twitter the teams that each of us have got left to play. We've only got one of the top 6 left to play. I think Sheffield United's only got 2 of the top 6 left to play, or have they only got 1 as well? And we have the bottom 5 of the bottom 6 as well, I believe. I'm going to see if I can. I'll do that later. 5 of the bottom 6 left to play, and we are in a position now. For me, we're favourites. Having won that tonight, I think even had we drew that tonight, we would have been sat second. I think we would have been favourites. When you look at the run-in that Leeds have got in West Brom, when you look at the last, 16 games now, I think we're the favourites now. We should be going on and at least finishing in the top 2. If we don't, I think from this point, the second half of the season has been, or the last 16 games, has been a massive, massive failure. Considering the teams we've got and the players we've got. Like, at the beginning of the season, had you said to me, and I've got Tom to back me up on this one. I'll go actually back as far as last season. Had you said to me last season we would be top of the league, I wouldn't have believed it. But I said, when everybody wanted Daniel Farke out, I was saying, give him this transfer, give him the summer transfer window, and see where we are come about October, November. And I was saying that to everybody, because everybody around me was so negative and going, oh, we need to get rid of Daniel Farke. And that's because last season we were a counter-attacking team. Our players, when you look at the likes of Wes Hoolahan, James Maddison, Murphy, we were very much pace. Like, we were very, in a sense, one-dimensional in the sense of, like, we would just look to catch teams on the break. But we were trying to play, or we had the players for it, but we were trying to play passing football. And I've said this so many times, it didn't work. Like, we were luckily we had good players. You know, you look at the likes of James Maddison, what he's up to now. Wes Hoolahan, even though he's old, can still play really well. Murphy is now playing in the Premier League. So it was that Premier League quality that got us to where we were last season, but we just needed players that fit the style that we wanted to play, and trying to completely change up your style can't be done in 2 transfer windows. I didn't think it could be done to this degree in 3 or 4 now. I'm looking forward to seeing Philip Heiser as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. From what I've seen, he's got very good left foot. So, but then the interesting thing there is, who would you drop? Because he's a left back. He is a left-sided player. I think, personally, you can't drop Jamal Lewis. He's been brilliant. Every single player in that starting lineup has been brilliant. Hence why they're still in the starting lineup. I think if you look at... Obviously, he's been brought in as backup at the moment, but there will come a time where one of the players, like Jamal Lewis, or who played on the left today, Onel Hernandez, they're going to have a bad game, and that will probably be where we bring in Heiser. I am looking forward to seeing him play, though. Hopefully, he will do well. Hopefully, he'll be a success. But I'm struggling to see where he's going to get a game at the moment. Left back, we're fine. Left wing, we're fine. Midfield, we're fine. That's the thing. We've got so much depth and so much quality. I don't see where he's going to fit in. But hopefully he will. Hopefully he will get a chance. It's a good headache to have. When you're a manager, it's a good thing. When you have so many players you can rely on, it's a good thing to be able to know that whoever you put out on the pitch is going to perform. And especially with the fact that now, one thing we did need was cover for Lewis, obviously. Now he's got backup. For me, that was one of Jamal Lewis's best performances tonight. Considering who the opposition was, who did he come up against? He came up against Jack Harrison and then Jack Clark. Leeds love the Jacks. And at times they seem to avoid trying to play it to the right, because they seem to know that whichever of the Jacks had the ball wasn't really going to get past Jamal Lewis, or even if they did, they would then have to deal with Ben Godfrey. Or Onel Hernandez. Actually, Onel Hernandez in the first half, I thought he was very shaky. That's another player I want to talk about. Onel Hernandez in the second half was much better. He basically controlled the play, as did... Well, I say control the play. Maybe not, but everything he did well. I did think the referee was very debatable on both sides. But that's enough about the Leeds game today. So next week, I would literally just go same team again. Put the same team out and just tell them, like, whatever you did last week, do it better this week. That's basically all you can do. When you're playing so well, there isn't much you can add onto what you've done. Against Sheffield United, we needed a much improved performance than against Sheffield United, and I think we will play better games and come away with nothing. Especially if we're getting to the Premier League, we will, because even though I say we played well, we defended well, but in terms of overall play, we weren't great. Next week against Ipswich, we're gonna have to pretty much be at our best. Like the two games I've seen, Norwich versus Ipswich, we beat them 4-1 where we controlled the game, and then we drew 1-1 where it was an even game. That was the one where Knudsen put them in front, and then who scored for us? Jacob Murphy scored within like 5 minutes of them taking the lead. Now, unfortunately, this time I'm not sat next to the away fans. I was in that match, and that was brilliant. But Ipswich's threats. Oh dear, where do I even start with Ipswich this season? I'm not worried about any of their players. Now, I know this is going to sound very arrogant coming from a Norwich fan, but you look at the signings they've made. Will Keane has scored 6 goals in his entire career. Colin Quaynor barely played for Huddersfield before joining Ipswich, so he barely played a game in England. That's their 2 strikers. We've got Jordan Spence, Gwion Edwards they signed earlier in the season. Alan Judge, he's going to be one to watch as well. Oh yeah, Simon Dawkins, for me, he's 30 years old, and I look back to like maybe 2008, 2009 when he was coming through as a wonder kid, and I'm just like, what has he done in the time in his career? Like I genuinely forgot about him. He basically could have just dropped off the edge of the planet as far as I was aware. Callum Elder, young and inexperienced, although having said that, like half of our players are quite young, so I can't really say anything. When we played earlier in the season, when we played Ipswich, we were awful. That was probably the worst performance I've ever seen from Norwich, like without a shadow of a doubt. That was awful for 78 minutes, however long it was, and then Moritz Leitner popped up with a goal out of nowhere. Like we didn't look like scoring, and that was when we were at our worst as well. So now we're actually in form. We're flying at the top of the league. This is probably where we go and lose like 3-0. That would just be a Norwich thing to do. Beat Leeds, who were top of the league, and then go and lose to Ipswich, who's bottom of the league. If that's not Norwich City, if that's not the Norwich I know, I don't know what is. James Collins is a good signing for them. The defender, James Collins, not the striker who plays for Lincoln. He plays for Luton. I'm looking at the team. Ellis Harrison's out on loan. I think he got loaned out on deadline day. Goalkeeper Bartosz Balkowski, well, all we have to do is put the ball near the goal and he'll just chuck the ball in for us. That's fine. Obviously, we know Knudsen has scored against us. And that's the thing. Their defenders score more goals against us than their strikers at Ipswich. Because I'm sure Luke Chambers scored against us as well. And Jonas Knudsen. But I don't remember the last time they had a striker score against us. I might be just overlooking something. Who scored against us earlier in the season? I can't remember. I think it was John Nolan. No, was it John Nolan? I don't know. Probably not a striker. I'm saying all this stuff. I'm very confident we're going to win. If they're playing Will Keane and Colin Quaynor up front, well, Tim Krul might as well just pull out the deck chair and just relax. Although Alan Judge can definitely hit a free kick. Notts County know about that one. My second team, they've seen him play once or twice, or a lot of times, and they've saw him score a few. I'm looking at the team. I mean, another thing as well, we're now 2 defeats in 25 games, which is an incredible record. That's like an average of a defeat every 12 games, 13 games. So, if we can, I would say from here we should go on to win the league. Should being the main word. Obviously, it's Championship football. Anything can happen. But when you look at the fact that we still have when you look at the fixtures, you would predict us to win enough of them to win the league. Especially when you look at our record against sides in the bottom half. I think we beat 11 of the 12, I think, and we still have 11 of the bottom half to play. And I think we won. I can't remember if it was 10 or 11 we won. Which, yeah, no, that's it's a good record to have. I'm looking forward to it. I will be vlogging it. I'm going with Tom. We should get the 3 points. But it's not just Championship football, it's a local derby. We all know anything can happen in a local derby. Like, who predicted, what was it, Man City beat Man U 6-1 or 5-1 or something? And there wasn't really that much of a gap between them. Who predicted when we beat Ipswich 4-1 and 5-1? Like, we'd just come up from League One. I think actually Ipswich were the favourites going into that one. I think that was the last time I remember. And as well, we were off the back of 4 straight draws in that one. And then we end it with a run of with a 4-1 victory. So we've got a good side now. I would say actually we have a better side now than we had under Paul Lambert. In fact, I would say when you look at the individual players, I would say we are a better side now than we were in the Premier League. In terms of, you look at what the players achieved after they left us. The only player who really went on to achieve anything from that team, I would say, was Anthony Pilkington. Went on to carry on playing in the Premier League with Cardiff. John Ruddy's obviously achieved a lot. I'm trying to think who else was in that side. But in terms of next week in the derby, we should be expected to win comfortably. We should. But we may not, because it's derby football. So who knows? We'll just see. It's top versus bottom. I don't remember the last time that happened in any derby. I don't remember ever seeing a derby match on TV where it was like, oh, this is first versus bottom and a local derby. So there's that. Ipswich will be up for it. I know they will. The players will. The fans will. They will want that to be the start of their turnaround. We will want that to just carry on our good run. We're better away from home than we are at home, but I think we're good enough. Even if we have a bad performance. Like, obviously there's the late goal factor as well. If we go into like the 85th minute and it's 0-0, which, let's face it, that's not going to happen. We score goals, they concede goals, so the chances are it's likely to be like a 4-0. But I reckon it could well finish a very high score. Let's hope, because I would get good content for YouTube, and Norwich stay, hopefully, top of the league. Oh yeah, the one player I am worried about, actually there is one player I am a bit worried about. Freddie Sears. Good player. What on earth is he doing at Ipswich Town? I do not know. He should be playing at least top half Premier League. He's not that good. Top half Championship football. At least. He should be playing for maybe... I'm trying to think who he'd be a good fit for. Maybe a Swansea. Maybe a Middlesbrough. I think he's got goals in him, so that's probably going to be their game plan, is just get the ball to I was about to say Will Keane. Get the ball to Freddie Sears, let him do the rest. Good game plan, in fairness. That would be about the only game plan that anybody would deploy for Ipswich. Now the interesting factor is going to be who's going to be goalkeeper. Balkowski has been awful when he's been played. Dean Gerken at the start of the season was awful. I haven't actually talked about the Paul Lambert factor yet, actually, as well. So I will talk about that now. I am looking forward to getting to see Paul Lambert play. I'm getting my words all wrong. It's 9 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I got work at 6 o'clock in the morning. But as soon as Paul Lambert came in, he brought Bartkowski back into the team. So hopefully he sticks with him, and hopefully Bartkowski decides to do what he did against Bristol City. That was funny. That is genuinely one of my favourite goals ever, just simply because A, it handed Bristol City the win against Ipswich, and B, it was just so funny. I feel like, obviously, had it happened against Norwich, I would have been mega... I would have been very frustrated, we'll put it that way. But the Paul Lambert factor, and the fact that Paul Lambert is going to be in the opposition dugout. Now, I don't blame, who was it? Matt Gill for leaving. He went from under-23s manager to assistant manager. Him, I do not blame for leaving. But Paul Lambert knows that he was... I think he was actually given the key to Norwich. And yet, he then goes to Ipswich. And the funny thing is, though, he has said the exact same things as what he said at Norwich. We're a good club. We deserve to be we deserve better than where we are. He said all the right things. But on the pitch, there's nothing. In fact, I was about to say nothing's improved. In fact, it's got worse for them. Oh no. Okay, he has had a slightly better win rate. Okay, so 14 games played, 1 win, 7 draws, 6 defeats for Paul Hurst. For Paul Lambert, 15 games, 2 wins, 3 draws, 10 losses. To Paul Hurst, 6 losses. Now, Ipswich fans complain because they were complaining about the style of play from Mick McCarthy, and I get it to an extent, but with a club like Ipswich, they've got very limited finances. There's not much he could do with the side, and yet they were complaining. But that summer, they then sold Waghorn for 8 million. And who was it? Who was the other player that was sold? They sold another player for like 4 or 5 million. It was Joe Garner. So he would have had money to spend that summer, but Ipswich fans wanted him out so much, the board obliged and was like, okay, fine, go. But it's so... Like, had Mick McCarthy been given that money, right? Bear in mind that's like, what? I think Garner was maybe sold for like 2 million. I'm not sure what the fee was. That's about 10 million pounds there. Give Mick McCarthy that money and see what he can do. Instead, you gave it to Paul Hurst. I mean, I'm not actually sure how much of the money he saw, but he had to come in. He had his 2 best strikers sold, so he then had to replace them with that money. It's not like he could come in and then just buy players for 10 million to improve on the squad. He had his 2 best players sold. They didn't have enough money to really go for anybody in the higher leagues. Like, you look at Waghorn, like, he had to improve the whole squad, so he had to work with what he had. He had the entire 11 to improve, basically, with the money from 2 players sold. He didn't have... With that, you don't really have the money to buy a top-class championship striker, so instead he's had to go for Ellis Harrison and Caden Jackson. They were then brought in to replace Martin Waghorn and Joe Garner, which Waghorn and Garner partnership was much better for them than so far that one was. I'm going to say a lot in this video. I don't know why I've been saying it so much. He then basically then on top of that they then had to bring in players in other positions. They still had the midfield to worry about, they still had the defence to worry about, they were sorted for goalkeepers, sort of, not particularly, but they thought they were sorted for goalkeepers. They just, the fact that the fans have basically pushed Mick McCarthy out, and now Mick McCarthy is, I don't even know what he's doing. I think he's doing something with Republic of Ireland now. I think he is. And Ipswich, meanwhile, have just sunk to the bottom of the table. And honestly, I'm loving it. Like, I'm a Norwich fan, so any opportunity for... And Ipswich fans are the same. When Norwich got relegated down to League One, they were laughing at us. So, I can't really have sympathy with them. I've been through it. I know what it's like. Now it's their turn. And next week, I mean, I know obviously anything can happen, as I've said, but I can't wait. Provided we beat them, I can't wait for that. The atmosphere is going to be brilliant. It's going to be a proper derby day. We're sat top of the league at the moment. A win would make sure that we stay. And basically, we win, we go back to top of the league, on the assumption that Sheffield United and Leeds go back above us. Unless Leeds go and win by like 5-6-0, which they might. Leeds will provide a reaction. Sheffield United will provide a reaction. I say reaction. Sheffield United will continue their run of wins. Sheffield United are looking very good at the moment. Oh yeah, that's another player that signed as well. Guion Edwards. Good with Peterborough. Not done anything with Ipswich. As is the same with a bunch of their players. Knudsen hasn't done anything this season. Barkowski's just put the ball in his own goal. Luke Chambers has done a couple of fist pumps and not really been able to for a while. I didn't even know that Jordan Spence was playing for them. Cole Skuse, I think, has been injured for some of it, so I'll let him off, because we know what that's like with injuries, don't we, Norwich fans? Nsiala was another signing. I'm not even sure how much he's played, to be honest. Pennington was signed on loan. Freddie Sears has scored a couple of goals, but that's about it. Like, with Ipswich, there isn't really any threat. And Paul Lambert can dress it up however he wants and says that these are players, they're better than what they've shown so far this season. He can say that they just need a hand. Like, I think that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 hands that he's brought in. He said they only needed a hand, but yet he's brought in 7 players, which is 14 hands. So, do your maths, Paul Lambert. I'm very much looking forward to the derby. I waited so long, and I was just hoping to be able to get tickets. Luckily, my cousin is a season ticket holder, so he was able to get tickets. And yeah, let's hope for a win next week. We should comfortably win it. But it's football. Anything can happen. It's 11 v 11. But on the ball, City.